When most people think of gladiators, they imagine glory, ancient Rome, the 1st and 2nd centuries AD, nearly 2,000 years ago, crowds roaring from every corner of the arena, the thunder of applause echoing across stone walls, victors standing tall beneath the blazing Roman sun, warriors celebrated as symbols of strength and courage, men who fought for honor, for fame, for immortality. It is the image history has preserved, the image repeated in stories, paintings, and films for centuries. A world of heroic battles and legendary champions, the kind of spectacle that filled the great Roman arenas. But this is only part of the story, because before the cheering, before the spectacle, before the crowd rose to its feet in excitement, there was something else, something far less glamorous. Fear, silence, uncertainty, the quiet moments that existed beyond the view of the audience, moments when no one knew what would happen next, and the understanding that most who entered this arena would never leave it the same, whether they survived or not, because long before the crowd witnessed the battle, the struggle had already begun. Beneath the arena, hidden from the thousands above, were the holding chambers, a maze of stone corridors and narrow rooms, cold, dark, and cut off from the world outside. This was where gladiators waited, not knowing when their turn would come, not knowing who they would face, or whether they would return. The air was thick with dust and sweat. Torches flickered against rough stone walls. Every sound echoed through the corridors. Footsteps, chains, voices in the distance, the creak of heavy gates opening and closing. Time moved differently here, slower, heavier. Every minute felt longer than the last, because every moment of waiting was a moment closer to the unknown, a moment closer to the arena, closer to the crowd, closer to a fight that could change everything. For some, it was anticipation. For others, pure dread. But no one escaped the waiting, and sometimes the waiting was worse than the battle itself. Most gladiators were not volunteers. They were prisoners, slaves, men captured in war and transported far from their homes. Many had once been soldiers, farmers, fathers, people with lives that existed before the arena. Others were criminals sentenced to fight, and some were simply desperate. Men trapped by debt or poverty, drawn into a world they could no longer escape, forced into a life where survival depended on violence. They were trained, conditioned, shaped into entertainers for the Roman public. The crowd saw warriors, the empire saw spectacle, but beneath the armor, they were still human, still afraid, still uncertain, still carrying memories of the lives they once had. Every fighter had a story, every scar had a beginning, and every day they entered the arena, they carried the same hope, to survive long enough to see another sunrise. Training was relentless, every movement controlled, every mistake punished. The arena demanded perfection, and perfection came through repetition. They trained for hours each day, swinging weapons until their muscles burned, practicing strikes, defenses, footwork, again and again, under the heat of the sun, under the watchful eyes of instructors, men whose job was to prepare them for violence. Their bodies hardened, their reflexes sharpened, their endurance grew. But the training was never easy. Pain was expected. Exhaustion was normal. Weakness was exposed immediately, because in the arena, skill meant survival. A single mistake could end a life. A moment of hesitation could become a death sentence. There was no room for carelessness, only discipline, only endurance, only the constant preparation for a fight that might come tomorrow. The physical toll was constant. Bruises never fully healed. Cuts barely had time to close. Muscles never fully rested. Every day brought new injuries, and every injury carried a reminder. The body could only endure so much. Pain became normal, a companion that followed them everywhere. Sleep became difficult. Recovery became rare. Even the strongest fighters carried damage beneath the surface. Broken bones, torn muscles, permanent scars. Every mark told a story. A battle survived, a mistake made, a narrow escape from death. And yet, the cycle continued, because survival was temporary. No fighter could avoid time forever. No fighter could avoid injury forever. Eventually, everyone faced the same reality. Sooner or later, the arena always collected its price. The walk to the arena was the longest walk of all, not because of distance, but because of what waited at the end. The tunnel stretched ahead, bright sunlight visible in the distance, the sound of the crowd growing louder with every step. Each footstep echoed against the stone. Each breath felt heavier, each heartbeat louder. Every step forward was a step toward judgment, toward thousands of watching eyes, toward a moment that would decide everything. Some walked with confidence, their faces calm, their minds focused. Others walked with fear, trying to hide the uncertainty inside. But all understood the truth. Once they crossed into the arena, nothing else mattered. The gates would close behind them. The crowd would watch, and there was no turning back. Every gladiator carried the same hope: to survive one more day. Now tell us, could you have survived the arena? Leave your answer in the comments and subscribe for more untold stories from history. Above them, the crowd waited. Thousands of people packed into the stands, watching, judging, demanding entertainment. The atmosphere was electric. Voices blended into a constant roar. The excitement spread through the arena like a wave. To the spectators, it was spectacle, excitement, drama, a display of courage and violence, a story unfolding before their eyes. But for the gladiator, it was survival. Every movement mattered. Every decision mattered. A single mistake could bring disaster. A single success could earn another chance at life. The crowd held immense power. Their reactions could influence outcomes. Their approval could elevate a fighter. Their rejection could destroy one. They could cheer. They could condemn. And for the men standing in the sand, that decision could mean life or death. There was no glory in exhaustion, no honor in pain, no greatness in suffering, only survival. The reality was far different than the legends. The arena stripped away illusion, leaving only instinct, determination, and the will to continue. Some fought bravely, standing their ground against impossible odds. Some fought desperately, driven by fear, driven by the need to stay alive. Some fought simply because they had no choice, because surrender was not an option. And when it was over, when the noise faded, when the crowd turned its attention elsewhere, there was no celebration, no triumphant ending, only silence, only exhaustion, only relief that they were still breathing, still standing, still alive, at least for now, because survival today offered no guarantee of tomorrow. Those who survived carried the weight with them, physically, mentally, emotionally. The arena never truly left them. Each fight changed them. Each victory came at a cost. Memories accumulated over time. Faces remembered, friends lost. Moments that lingered long after the battle ended. They became stronger, more experienced, more capable, but also more fragile. Because constant survival creates its own burden. The fear never disappeared completely. The uncertainty never vanished. Every new fight reopened old wounds. Every return to the arena brought familiar questions. Would this be the day everything ended? Would this be the last walk through the gate? Because survival was never permanent. It was temporary. And they knew, soon enough, they would walk that path again. Gladiators were not heroes. They were not legends, at least not in the way history often remembers them. They were survivors, men trapped inside a system designed to break them, a system built on power, control, and public spectacle. Their lives were shaped by forces beyond their control, their future uncertain, their fate often decided by strangers sitting in the stands. The arena demanded everything: their strength, their endurance, their humanity. And yet, many endured, not because they sought glory, but because they wanted to live. Their story was not one of triumph, but one of resilience, of fear, of sacrifice, of survival against impossible odds. And as the crowd faded into history, one question remains. If you stood where they stood, if those gates opened before you, would you have survived? Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please support the channel by subscribing and giving it a like. We'd also love to hear your thoughts, so let us know in the comments below. And if you're passionate about medieval and Roman history, be sure to check out our other videos. See you in the next 3 videos.